Question 4. Ozcom Proprietary Limited, a telecommunications company, placed an ad on television and in newspapers across Australia. The ad read, all that stuff. Kerry lived in a remote part of North Queensland. Remote. She wanted an internet service provider that had coverage so she could move her business online. She rang the number and paid $99 to join. However, she discovered she did not have internet access. Further investigation found that access was actually not available anywhere in Australia as advertised, but was restricted to areas within 250 kilometres. Okay, so the first thing I want to note is service not as advertised. It was restricted to 250 kilometres. Okay. Neither the ad nor the salesperson had mentioned access was restricted. So ad salesperson not mention this. Assume Kerry is a consumer. Okay, so I'm going, this is going to be consumer law, week 10. Because it said assume she's a consumer. Apply section 18. How nice. It actually tells me what section of the Australian consumer law. Now, I actually know what section 18 is: misleading and deceptive. Okay. So, what do I need to actually work this out? Well, I actually know that there are 3 things about misleading and deceptive conduct, but let's assume I didn't. If I didn't know, I'd want to go to my handy-dandy hint sheet and find misleading and deceptive conduct, which is actually one of the first things under consumer law. And it sets out what misleading and deceptive conduct is. It says, okay, I've got the law here. I need 3 elements to do this. So, Section 18, a person must not in trade or commerce engage in conduct that's misleading or deceptive or likely to mislead or deceive. Let us have a look at our question. So what I need are those 3 elements, right? The first is there must be conduct. So what's the conduct here? The conduct is the ad must be in trade or commerce, and it's about mobile phones service. So there's the trade and commerce, and it must be misleading or deceptive. So I need to remember here the test. Would a proportion or sum of the target market be misled or deceived, or likely to be misled or deceived? Okay, so that's the elements that I actually need to make out if I'm going to show this in terms of answering the question. So I have conduct, there's an ad. I have trade or commerce. Would a person in the target market, and I think the answer here is yes, given that Kerry has been misled, and no mention of limitation of access. So I think this is a pretty clear-cut case here of a breach of Section 18. So now I want to move on. And think about answering this particular question. So I'm going to do my issue. Has Ozcom breached Section 18 of the Australian consumer law? Because if they have, Kerry can take action. If they haven't, she can't. Law, Section 18. A person must not in trade or commerce engage in conduct that is misleading or deceptive, or likely to mislead or deceive. Okay, so that's pretty clear. I've got my issue, got my law, application. In this case, Auscom has placed an ad which is conduct. It is advertising internet access, which it is selling. So it is conduct in trade or commerce. The ad doesn't mention the limited coverage. Limited coverage? Limited coverage, which would and is misleading to some people. The ad is aimed at, such as Kerry, who saw the ad in remote Australia. Okay, so what I've established is that there's conduct, it's in trade or commerce, and it's misleading or deceptive or likely to mislead or deceive. Conclusion, Auscom has breached Section 18. And what are we asked? Kerry can therefore take action. So, again, key thing that I want to be actually clear about is that I have the three elements and that I use words from the problem in conjunction with those three elements. So I'm using the name of the company, and then I'm using language again. That shouldn't have been that. That should have been a fact. So I'm using two facts, and then I'm using language from the law, right? So notice, getting all mixed up. Conduct, yep. So I'm using the conduct element and showing what the conduct is in terms of the facts. I'm also then using facts that they're advertising internet access, which is selling, so it's trade or commerce. Okay, so again, I'm showing the green facts with the boxed law. The ad, right, doesn't mention the limited coverage. They're the facts, which would be misleading to some people in the target who it's aimed at, right? And I know that that's the law. And so that's the misleading element, and I'm showing the test there that is actually used. And then I have a clear conclusion. So what you can again see is that I'm trying to write sentences that have a mix of law and facts, which is a much easier way to be sure that you're actually doing some application in terms of the problem.